guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today in the Ask SSM video series, got an email from a subscriber. This is a young guy, I'm guessing he's probably 22, 23 years old. He moved out recently because he couldn't take his family anymore. Actually he's been, I guess, a few years now. His mom is an absolute monster, for lack of a better term. Horrible to the father, horrible to everybody here. And he's writing in looking for advice about helping his dad as well as helping a big issue with him. You see, all throughout his childhood and growing up, his mom obviously was a monster, a train wreck, all that. Dad was absolutely weak, and we're not going to sugarcoat that. And definitely a situation of some serious ABUSE on multiple fronts. Well, also, it certainly seems very likely that mom has been cheating along the way, and this young guy also questions if he's actually his father's son. One of these deals. So he's going to go through his whole thing here, and he's really looking for advice and help from not just me, but all you guys on how to help his dad in this miserable marriage that he's in, and also what he should do about this young guy questioning whether he's his dad's son or not, because he's afraid that if he does the paternity test, it can hurt his dad, and if the results obviously, but then again, he has to know. Think about this from multiple fronts here. So it starts off, says here, hey SSM. I've seen a few of your videos, and at times, through the people writing in, I thought they were full of crap. I didn't believe a good number of them. However, I began to question some of the things that I was listening to and compare it with my own life. Well, in other words, a lot of the things you thought were a bunch of BS, then you start looking at how messed up your life was and your family life was, and now you're starting to realize maybe those stories weren't crap at all. There are some serious effed up people out there in effed up situations. That's why I say truth is stranger than fiction. I'm on the younger side and live with my mom and dad for most of my life until I decide to move out and get a small bachelor pad. I'm taking a break from college to pay off some of my debts, and then I'll be going back as a business management major and thankfully find a job who will help pay for it. Well, that's great, man. Look, if college is not right for you right now, take a break, work, save up some money, pay off some debts. I'm just glad you got out of the situation with your parents. Oh, here we go. There's the hoe bag alarm. There must be some chick named Jessica closing in on me. I'm back. I guess it was a false alarm because Jessica's probably at CVS or Walgreens picking up her crazy medication. That alarm happens every time it seems like a major storm's coming in, so bear with me. Anyway, I don't know what to do. Now that I don't live with my parents, I can see the dictator my mom that she was and still is. She bullies my siblings into the life that she wants them to have and definitely wears the pants in the marriage. Growing up, I remember my father crying because he was constantly being emasculated by mom. Smack! Dude, your dad needs to grow a pair. Yeah, your mom's evil and awful and all that. It sounds like a very awful situation, but your dad has to be a fucking man here. And why is he staying with her? And your siblings, I got a question if they're your dad's kids. Some weeks were so bad that he would beg her to stop. Smack to your dad. You don't beg. You stand up for yourself. And when she started mentioning how he wasn't good for anything, including the bedroom, he'd finally snap and cover her mouth, yelling to stop before he stormed out. This has caused neighbors to call the police, expecting domestic you-know-what taking place, but my father never attacked her. Thankfully, my mom never lied and had him arrested. Dude, I'm sorry you grew up in this effed up family here. It's terrible. It's not your fault that you grew up. Your mom was an a-hole, but your dad's an a-hole too because he was so weak. He obviously wasn't strong enough to stand up to her and all that. I mean, she's an a-hole, don't get me wrong, but he has some accountability too here, for goodness sake. She probably deliberately married a weak man so she can control him while having fun on the side with a guy she really liked. Happens all the time. I began to notice questionable behavior when I listened to some of your videos about the women who would vouch and help each other cheat. This reminded me of the time when my mom helped our relatives and friends get away with cheating. Well, your mom is a great lady. So if your mom's helping her friends and family, the women, cheat, guarantee she's doing it too. The times me and my siblings tried to tell the husband or wives, my mom would purposely discredit us, make us out to be a bunch of stupid kids that are making up shit so that her family and friends could continue stepping out. Dude, your mom is an awful person. I have nothing to do with her. There's no reason for you to have anything to do with her at this point. My mom would always play dumb with my dad and act like this was a cultural thing, even though it wasn't. There were dry spells in my parents' marriage where my dad used to wonder what he was doing that was wrong and why was she withholding her love and affection from him, which she would always blame the places that we live. His income, the way he treats her, how he's super boring and was just downright nasty to him. Again, I'm sure a big part of the reason that she treated your dad like crap is because he was a weak bitch. I'm being honest here. But also, she's an awful person, incapable of being kind or loving to anybody. She's also threatened to divorce him, and this is what caused my folks to just up and move and run away from their problems. We moved so much you would think that we were military when we weren't. Well, that's tough on a kid. So what? Oh, we're going to move to Seattle, and then we're going to go to Des Moines, Iowa, and then we're going to go to Boston. That's going to change everything. It's not going to change everything, the problems they have and the problems who they are. I don't remember which video it was, but it was one of the ones about one of the writers leaving a note for the cheating on the husband to find it and to spark the memory I'd almost forgotten. When I was 4 years old, there was a strange man in my parents' room that I stumbled upon hiding in the closet. When I was that age, I used to explore the places that we lived a lot. He told me not to say anything since he didn't want to have a fight with my dad, and he climbed out the window. You're a little kid exploring your new house, or playing in the closet, and you see some strange man in the bedroom, and he's like, shh, shh, don't tell your dad. What do you think he was doing there? Well, my dad quickly came home. Oh, I tried to tell my mom, but she said it was my dad playing games. Well, my dad quickly came home after that, and I was very confused. My dad used to tease me about my confusion, and that supposedly he worked so much that I didn't recognize him anymore, and he used to tell me that growing up. Okay, it was all in your head. It was a big game that some strange dude was in your mom's bedroom. Well, I told him not long ago the backstory as to why I was confused, and he almost left my mom until she found a way to discredit me and make me out to be a complete liar. I was too young to remember, and when did she have the time since she was a full-time stay-at-home mom, etc., etc. She called me later irate, calling me every name in the book. So your dad actually believed her, how she treats him over you. Now, yeah, you were 4 years old, and a lot of little kids can imagine things and make things up, but there's certain things little kids can pick up on, and they don't forget that. I basically had to hang up on her since I couldn't get a word in. She went full Sand People from Star Wars on me. She also began to make me question myself if whether or not that was an actual memory or a dream. So you told this later on in time, like recently. Things settled down, but I began to notice that she would completely flip at the idea if I told the spouses of the friends and family that were being cheated on, almost as if these cheaters had dirt on my mom too. I'm glad I'm out because of how toxic all this is, but I'm shocked at how naive my dad has been with the entire thing. Because your dad's weak. He's worn down. And I like to think that your dad was a good to you and a good man on some level, but it's very hard for me to respect men that are that weak. Okay? I'm just being honest here. The thing is, and there's a whole lot of weak men out there, and that accounts for a lot of the problems we have in this world thanks to all the fucking weak-ass men. But that's a whole other conversation. Anyhow, but you love your dad, you want to help him out, and, I picture you think George McFly is bad. This guy's way worse than George McFly in Back to the Future before Marty went back and changed things. At least Lorraine didn't treat him like this. But if George can change, so can you. Actually, I take that back. I don't think your dad can change. I think your dad can improve upon things, but I think your dad's so worn down. But anyhow, she even made my dad swear throughout the years that if various uncles and aunts and friends asked him about so-and-so cheating, he was deny it all, play dumb like Hank Hill and King of the Hill, whenever Nancy and John Redcorn's affair was almost blown or discovered by Dale. Some of the family and friend group was able to discover the affairs on their own, and some of them weren't. The ones that did, my mom spoke horribly about them and made them out to be abusively, emotionally, physically, or unromantic as justifiable reasons as to why her friends or families would cheat in the first place. Of course your mom did that. Your mom's a master at her evil trade. I thought this was normal until your video showed that it wasn't. It's not normal, bro. But when you're a kid growing up in a house that's so fucking dysfunctional and toxic and miserable, kids think it's normal. This is why, let me say this again, to all you fathers out there that are in miserable marriages, this is why you divorce. This is why you don't stay in it for the kids and have two parents under one roof in a miserable situation. Because those kids will think this is normal. And they will seek out relationships like this. How do I know? Because I've observed this multiple times throughout my life with people I knew when they were young. Right here. This young guy thought this was normal. And they started watching my videos and realizing this isn't normal. This is fucked up. I just don't know what to do. I've tried to get my dad to see some of the red flags, and what's even worse is one time when my dad got injured and couldn't work, my mom was threatening to leave him. He's injured, can't work, and she's threatening to leave him. Right there, he's in bed, bed-stricken. What a heart. Your mom is such a wonderful person. At that time, I saw her Facebook stalking a guy who kind of resembled me, but older, and I asked her who that was, and it took her a little bit back to finally confess it was an ex of hers. I asked her why she was looking him up, and she said she was done with my dad and wanted to divorce. Your mom's looking up a guy on Facebook who looks a lot like you and is an ex, huh? Is that the same guy that was in your freaking room? Your mom's room when you were a kid? I told her that she was selfish and stupid, and she left him, and she would be just as lonely. She'll just be used by a lonely older man for sex, and that fear got my mom to stay. However, later on, that guy popped up as a friend suggestion due to him being friends with some of my uncles and aunts, and I decided to show my dad, and even he was convinced that something might be going on and initially wanted to do a paternity test. My mom ended up denying she even knows the guy and was able to talk my other siblings into thinking this was stupid and got my dad to drop it. Smack to your dad. Oh my God. Your mom's worn your siblings down too. She told you flat out that was an ex. And now, nope, never mind. I don't know him. You're all crazy. I'm just lost at this point on what to do. I'm glad I no longer live with my parents, but I feel bad about my dad most of all. I just want advice on how to handle this. Do I buy the paternity test kit, or could this kill my friendship with my dad? Any advice would be helpful. Thank you. Oh my God. Yes, bro, you owe it to yourself at this point, if it seems like overwhelming evidence you might not be your dad's son, to find out. Putting all sorts of other factors aside, there's the medical issue. At some point, you're going to need your medical history, and if indeed you're not your father's son, even though it can be hard to find out who this guy is, at least we'll help you a bit when a medical emergency comes around, because you'll have your mom's side, but you don't know about your dad. But aside from that, yeah, you have a right to know. And after all this, I'm sorry your dad is in this bad situation. No man should go through it, and your mom is just a fucking awful harpy with a capital H. But your dad hasn't helped the case. I'm sure your mom deliberately married him because he was weak. She could push him around, as many do, and he would provide enough, and that's that. I highly question whether your other siblings are your dad's kids. I highly question whether you're your dad's kid, all these things here. But what you need to do with regards to your paternity test, absolutely. With your dad, I would meet up with your dad for some fucking coffee or tea or some dinner or something and say, Dad, okay, you need to end this. Mom is awful. You know she's awful, but you're so worn down, and you need to recommend my channel and give him some tough love. But with respect, of course, because he is your father. And even technically, he's not your biological father. The guy raised you and paid for your bills and took care of you, so you owe him respect, even though, he's been a man, Johnny, his whole time. And do everything you can to help him see the big picture and get away from her. If it means you doing your homework to find local attorneys and all sorts of stuff to present to him, fine. He can't stay with her. He's got to get himself together. But after everything you may try to do with him, and still he stays with your mom and takes on the abuse, that's it. There's nothing you can do. He succumbed to the Stockholm Syndrome and all that. He is too far gone to save. And as for your mom, I'd have nothing to do with her. There's no reason you'd have a relationship with her. She is awful. None. I know that may seem like you can't turn your back on your parents. Or here comes the Jessica alarm again. Guess the storm's coming again. For goodness sake, thank God hurricane season's coming in about 5 or 6 weeks. Now, actually more like 7 weeks. I have to hear this crap all the time. Where I film here sometimes, whenever the pressure gets crazy or big storms are coming, the Jessica alarm goes off. Anyhow, I'm wrapping this up before this goes on for a third fucking time. Anyhow, bro, your dad. Yeah, do what you can with your dad. Present him all the information. Talk to him. And if at that point then he doesn't, no. And I'd have nothing to do with your mom. Who cares if, anybody pressures you or says you can't abandon your mom? Why would you have anything to do with her? She's awful. To your dad, to your siblings, to you. She's a liar, she's a cheater, she's a rotten person. Move on. You're better off on your own. And I would say it to your siblings. And if they can't be saved or helped, you did your part. Life is too short. You're in your early 20s. Newsflash, you're going to wake up tomorrow and be my age, 47 years old. Do you really want to spend your life surrounded by people like that? They're going to do nothing but bring you down. So, and by the way, be careful any relationships you get into to not get into a relationship with someone like your mother. you can be so hardwired and brainwashed to think that life you had growing up was normal. You can end up with someone just like her. I'm just warning you. So, bro, get the paternity test. Regardless if it hurts your dad's feelings, you got to do it for you. He needs to know the truth and present it with information, everything you can to help him out. But I think, frankly, he's going to be too worn down, too far gone to actually make a change and get away from her and start on a path of self-improvement. However, you do convince him and definitely make him aware that he's going to take a hit in the divorce. Fine. It's better living in his car than being with her. And embark on a path of self-improvement. You'll be there for him. Encourage him to join a gym, get exercise and all that. Because if you're in your early 20s, I'm guessing your dad's probably at the earliest, late 40s, maybe early 50s. Not much for me. Well, he ain't going to die tomorrow, so he still has some time to turn things around and have some happiness in his life. But he's going to take a hit in the short term. Whether he has the strength to do that, who knows? So that's what I think. And that's what I think to all you guys out there that might have someone you care about, particularly your father, that's been so worn down, or an awful train wreck of a mother. Get rid of them. You have nothing to do with them. Plenty of people have nothing to do with their families. End of story. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let this guy know what you think. Please do. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.